Wagstaff is driving in a motoring time capsule, more akin to the 1950s than the 1990s.
To start with, there are no traffic signs, no roundabouts, no actual speed limit apart from the 60, and there's very few places where you can attain 60 miles an hour anyway. And even if there was no means of enforcing the speed limits.
And of course no pedestrian crossings, no motorways, nothing like that.
None whatsoever.
Does that make your job easier because there's simply less rules?
Well, wherever there's less rules, you've got less to enforce.
Do you think the standard of driving is okay over here?
Not really.
Despite boasting only 9 miles of road, bereft of signs, pedestrian crossings, traffic lights or roundabouts, island drivers still pay the full road tax. The driving test examiner comes just twice a year. L plates blossom before Michael Dale arrives. But can they really be let loose on mainland motorways?
If they do pass their test, you are giving them a licence to drive anywhere in the United Kingdom. The same on the mainland, even my own centre, which is Penzance. Then a learner there, we've got to go 100 miles to the nearest motorway, but that you're giving them a licence to drive unaccompanied, then with good tuition after that and experience, they gain experience and they get better drivers and cope with these sorts of things at a later date.
Traffic is increasing on St Mary's. The old island of pedestrians and bicycles is being slowly strangled by motor cars. But the newly fledged driver still worries about the terrors of mainland motorways.
I'd be petrified.
But why?
Well, I've never had to deal with roundabouts or traffic lights or junctions or anything, even the motorway. I'd be frightened to death.
Rusty relics seem to be a feature of the Isles of Scilly, a combination of salt air, hard hedges and no MOT.
Most certainly the standard vehicles are worse than on the mainland, and this is mainly to do with the MOT. The reason there's no MOT because there's no MOT testing station, and the cost of setting one up
very few silencers by the sound of it.
Oh yes, we've got to give them time to get the silencers fixed because there's no stockist on the island.
Have you ever stopped anybody for speeding over here?
Not actually for speeding. We've advised them to slow down, but we haven't actually clocked anybody because no means of doing it.
It's good to report that Maggie Wagstaff did pass her driving test, the first of 10 island candidates struggling with mirror, clutch and handbrake. The Department of Transport is adamant that no concessions are made for the Isles of Scilly. With or without the traffic lights, half the drivers still fail.
I should think it's a marvellous place to learn to drive, especially if you've got an old banger. Listen, earlier I mentioned that Robin Knox Johnson earned his place in history books as sailing around the world single-handed first off.